Nothing motivates me more than when you underestimate me. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I like Diego. He goes, well, you know him. He's 145 pounds. He's 20 pounds heavier than you, Danny. I said, bring it on. Let's do it. I want to fight him. He goes, are you sure? I go, you want me to sign a waiver or whatever? Let's get it done. I'm done. Let's do it.
And I'm a sucker for progress. Like I feel like the teeniest, tiniest little thing forward, I'm like, okay, we're good. We're making progress.
Always do more than what you're asked to do. So someday you're paid more for what you do.
All right, so today I have Dan Prado on the podcast. What a fun interview. He is a boxer turned sales coach / leadership coach / speaker / everything fun, exciting, and motivating. We go through some of his historical fights, who he's become, how he's overcome, and how he's inspiring you today. So listen in, grab a whole bunch of great tips, and enjoy, because I had fun on this conversation. I know you will too. All right, friends, today we have a guest named Dan Prado to share a whole bunch of stories on success and fun and all things good in life. So Dan, thanks for joining us.
Jenn, it's a pleasure. What a privilege. Boy, am I glad one of the people that you work with and team up with recommended that we get together here. Great energy.
Yeah, I know. We were on a podcast together, and he's like, I have the perfect guest for you. You guys are going to hit it off. I'm like, I'm in. Anybody that you recommend, I'm in.
Yeah. Donnie's a neat guy. I got hooked up with Donnie through a gentleman named Dave Acosta. This is like part of my story. Okay. So Dave Acosta is a former MMA UFC fighter. And I met Dave when I would do and I still do it. Every 2 months, I fly into California and I do motivational speaking, inspirational speaking for Team Alpha Male, the MMA fighters headed up by Uriah Faber. So all those guys are I come back from a background of wrestling and boxing. So my mind just clicks. I know what's going on in their heads, right? Because I've been there, I've done it. And I still got the same enthusiasm that I did back then. You wouldn't believe it. I'm 65 and I have energy. Yeah, I have the energy. I still have it. I when I get there, I bring it. Like, once in a while, somebody will say, hey, I hope you're a good guest. Like one of the podcasts I was on, a great guy. And I actually work with him on executive coaching now, which is great. So he goes, hey, I don't know what it is you eat and what you drink, but I want some of it. And I'm thinking to myself, I get it from other people. Like I get that from you. Like I was just checking out the stuff that the journey you've been on. And I'm like, now I know you're interviewing me, but I have to say hats off to you, because that was a phenomenal setup and the things that you've done through all you've been through. So it's pretty inspiring. So thank you.
No. You know what? That's what's fun about being human, is that we all inspire each other in so many ways when we're willing to share the story and willing to just be human next to one another.
That's right. I like how you said how the tribe, right? How the tribe, what's that, affects the vibe, how the vibes attracts the tribe.
The vibe attracts the tribe. That's the thing. Yes, right? We get these high energy people. We're going to attract high energy people. So it works out perfect. Okay, so you used to be like wrestling and boxing. And so then you still volunteer and help with coaching and things like that there?
I do. So it all started really growing up in a big family, and my dad was very instrumental in it. I'm fortunate that my mom's still alive. I grew up in a family of 9 kids.
Okay, I have 7. Yes, I did not hit 9. I'm done. I'm at 7.
But growing up in 9 kids, uh, you experience so much. I mean, a lot of joy, a lot of laughter, a lot of crying, a lot of sadness, but you end up coming out of it. I always call it coming out of it smelling like a rose, because that's a choice. That's an attitude choice, right? It's a self-induced state of mind, which is what an attitude is. And we can choose to either say, you know what, poor me, or, hey, I get to find out what I'm all about. I get to find out what I'm capable of, which boy, you're living proof of that. But growing up in that big family, my dad shared a lot of great stories with me. Now, my father went to McClymonds High School in Oakland, California. And in Oakland, they have two of the greatest Hall of Fame athletes that ever walked the living face of the earth in sports. And that's 11-time Boston Celtic champion Bill Russell and Frank Robinson, who's a Hall of Famer. Both are Hall of Famers. In baseball, he is, Frank. So, both have passed on, but my dad would tell me stories. I was a little boy. I would go into the kitchen. I could smell the coffee, and my dad was packing his lunch. Back then, they had wax paper to wrap, So my dad was putting the bologna and cheese sandwich together. And with 9 kids, you just realize my dad's going to make his own coffee. And my mom's expecting, she's in bed, she's expecting another baby, right? So my dad says, hey, I got this, Angie. I'll take care of it. So he'd go in there and do it. And I could smell it. I'd get up at 4:15 in the morning. And I'd come in and say, Dad, can you tell me some stories, some sports stories? And he goes, yeah, I don't have much time, but I'll share some with you. So the stories that my dad shared with me inspired me so much. I cannot tell you, Jennifer, how it impacted me. It still impacts me today, because what my dad told me was, Danny, you told me you want to be the best Little League baseball player you can be. I said, I do, Dad. He goes, well, you're going to have to do more than what your coaches ask you to do. Now, see that philosophy right there? My dad planted a seed in me that I would always have to do more. It's one of my favorite books that I read from author Ed Milet, The Power of One.
One more. Power of one more.
Yeah, one more rep. Like I was in the gym yesterday and I was thinking, because I've been doing that. When Ed said that, I'm like, man, Ed, I've been doing that since, I started wrestling in high school. Always do one more, because my dad said, always do more than what your coaches ask you to do. Do it, Danny, and you'll find out what you can become. Well, I still have that philosophy. And part of the philosophy that I have is from Jim Rohn, who said, always do more than what you're asked to do, so someday you're paid more for what you do.
There you go. There's another truth bomb for all of you listening. Feel free to rewind.
Exactly. Play that one over in your mind again, right? So that mindset got me into sports. I loved to be challenged. I needed to be challenged. That's the key word there for a lot of people in business and sports and coaching and teaching and leadership and executive coaching, whatever aspect of coaching you're in, a parent. Like, I've been married 34 years and we've got, 5 kids of our own, and most of them are all grown up now. The youngest one is 21. So it's neat to see them on their way doing their things. But coaching in itself, to me, is the most incredible living I have ever made. Because when you can empower and inspire people to take action in their lives, that's the most incredible thing in the world, to empower them to see themselves and others better than they are. So that's kind of how I like it. Then I decided I'm going to go on to college, and I ended up wrestling at Chico State University. We were Division II level, and I qualified for the national championships. And what was great about that was it taught me a lesson that you have to set your sights higher. Look at you. 7 highest mountains in 7 continents. You went for the big cheese.
I did, but I'll be honest with you, like, just so people know, like, I started with a mountain called Ama de Blanc. And then my son upped the ante to Everest, which I was okay with. So I signed up to do Everest. And then my coach upped the ante to the 7-second summits. And so sometimes we do something and then the people around us elevate us into more than what we thought was possible, or introduce us to quests that are worthy of our pursuit. And I feel as long as we're open and willing to do the work, it's very rewarding to see how that all unfolds and where those messages come to us from, because it doesn't necessarily always start inside here. We might plant the seed, but then other people water it and add to it and make it into something even more magnificent.
Yeah, well put. I think that's a great statement. and for people to really digest that, what you just said, because I needed to be pushed, like I said before. So what happens, I had 1 year to finish up my college degree. I got my degree as a Bachelor of Arts degree in phys ed, and I was a history minor. Now, what was interesting about it, I really loved wrestling, so that's what really kept me in school. And I loved the people that I was communicating with then too on the team. And what happened to me is really cool. So I took the last year before I graduated, and I started coaching at the high school there, Chico Senior High, helping, giving back. I love doing that. I've always loved coaching. And so at that point, a buddy of mine who was a roommate, we still stay in touch today. He's a big software guru, does really well in business in the San Francisco area. And he said, "Hey, Danny, why don't we just take a boxing class?" I said, "Yeah, I got a year to finish my degree. Let's just do this. I'm anxious. I need something to do, right? I need to fight. I need to fight." So sure enough, my buddy Jimmy Barron says, "Let's do it." And I take the class. Well, the way you got your credit was you had to fight. It was pretty cool, Jen. You had to fight in front of the entire school. So let's say the people that won, yeah. So the people that wanted to come, maybe there are 400, 500 people that said, "Hey, let's go watch some guys hit each other with big gloves and see who wins," right? So I ended up being matched up with a guy, similar weight, real tough kid, and he ended up not showing up that night. Now you got to picture this. All my buddies travel 3 hours. I know, but you know what I'm thinking, right? It's like, come on, man, we're going to go out afterwards, have a beer or two, or laugh, or 20, I'm 21, 22 years old, something like that. And I said, come on. And Coach Madera said, "Well, Danny, I'm sorry. So you're going to get a forfeit." I said, "George, not good enough, man. Come on." So he respected me. He was I played 2 years with the San Francisco 49ers in the 50s. So he goes, "I know you want to fight." I said, "Is there anybody else that forfeited at any other weight?" He said, "Yeah, Diego Pacheco, the Brooklyn kid." And I said, "Yeah, I like Diego." He goes, "Well, you know him. He's 145 pounds. He's 20 pounds heavier than you, Danny." I said, "Bring it on. Let's do it. I want to fight him." He goes, "Are you sure?" I go, "You want me to sign a waiver or whatever? Let's get it done. I'm done. Let's do it." I had wrestled in front of thousands of people before, so it didn't bother me. Really, it didn't. So get in there. I'll fast forward. I beat him. Now here's that moment. Yeah, I beat him, right? So I beat him pretty soundly. And I was a little surprised by that.
Was there ever a moment that you worried you weren't going to beat him?
No,
No. Okay. You had that confidence.
that confidence. Yeah.
Okay. And because you knew how he fought or you knew how you fought? Like, where did that confidence come from?
I knew how I fought, because this is how I feel, is if you prepare properly for the battle, you'll never make an excuse, even if it hurts, even if it's painful, right? Don't complain, don't explain, right? Just don't do it. It's not gonna help anything. So I was taught as a college wrestler, is like, "Hey, Danny, this is all you. Now you got a team supporting you. We're yelling for you. We're screaming for you. But you're the guy that's got to do it. You got to take the action. You got to make the moves, right? You got to hit the shot." So in boxing, I felt, see, the one thing, Jen, for me, which was really important to me, was that whenever I participated in any battle, I wanted to be in the best physical shape that I could be in. I ran, I felt more than the others. I did more. I did the power one more. Now, I'm sure there are other guys that were doing that too, thinking the same thing, because that's how you become a champion in life, right? Right. So you want to do more. You're going to out hustle. You're going to do it. So what happened was, this is pretty cool. I beat them. They're taking the gloves off me in the corner. My buddies are all like, "Yeah, taking pictures, dude. This is great. Prado, way to go, Prado." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm digging it." Right. So, and I'm that sanguine nature, that Latin term for energy and relationship guy. And I just love it. So bring it on. And what happened was, these two real estate agents who were the boxing coaches for the college team put their heads in the ring. You can just picture that. They open the ropes, they stick it in like the Rocky movie. They open there, stick their heads in there. And Rick Payne says, "Hey, Prado, how'd you like to fight for the college team?" And I said, "Coach, thank you for asking. I really appreciate it and respect it, but I'm finishing up on my degree. I'm going to graduate in about 5-6 months, and I'm going to get on with coaching and teaching. And he looked me right in the eye and he says, how'd you like to be a national champion? And I said, when do we start?
What? Right? Yes, because here's the thing, it matters. Like, it has to be something so big that you get drawn to it, right? Like, if you are having a hard time achieving your goals, they're not big enough.
That's it. Oh gosh. So good. That's so good. I love that. Oh, you nailed that. I love that. And when I heard that, it just like it was like music. It was like Bach and Beethoven and Mozart all combined, whispered in my ear, how'd you like to be a national champion? And when I heard that, it was an instant commitment. Now, at that point, it's not like that song when you're little kids, you put your left foot in, you put your right foot out, you shake it all about. No, I got both feet in. I'm in 100%. So I said, I'll see you on Monday. I'll see you on Monday. He said, great. We get in there and I start, we didn't have a full boxing team. So now I want to clarify something. The college boxing teams at that time, a lot of colleges had them and a lot didn't, because it was not an NCAA sanctioned sport anymore, because back in the 60s or early 70s, somebody got killed and they dropped the sport. Somebody from like San Jose State or something. And I remember that. So what they did is they said, hey, we're going to have the best college teams we can put together. And so we had some great teams that I fought back when I fought back in Philadelphia. Was Lock Haven State, Penn State, Villanova, some tough East Coast, Northeast studs. I like that because they brought it, man. They brought it. Us West Coast guys were like more into like, how do I look, man? Do I look all right? Am I moving and grooving?
California dreaming.
Exactly.
California dream alive in the boxing ring.
It's it. Exactly. So we're more in the hey, how do I look, right? And those guys are like, I'm going to tell you how you look if you get in the ring with me, right?
Yeah, right. I'm going to help you look a little different than you do right now.
Yeah. That lip you got, Danny, over there, and that nose, it's going to go down. Your eye's going to pop down. It's just crazy. But anyway, I joined the team, and there were two guys that really helped me become the national champion. Because we didn't have a full team, I had to sometimes. Now you got to remember, I was weighing at 125 when I started. I boxed at 119, and then I came down to 112s for the national championships.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'5", even though my wife says I'm 5'4 3/4, and she's right.
Okay, that's tiny.
Yeah, tiny. So I walk around now at 140, but back then I was just on the light side. That's for sure.
I can't even imagine. Like, I'm 112. Like, you would be like that. That's small.
Yeah. My dad used to say, he goes, Danny, I respect you and I love that you're a good boxer. He said, but you're hard to fight. I mean, you're hard to watch because I'm so used to seeing heavyweights knock each other out, and you little guys are pitter patter back and forth.
Right? Yeah, but you're not pitter patter. Don't buy that.
Oh no. I said to my dad, I said, the art of the sport really is to hit and not get hit, and I loved it because it was a science. It was a chess game with me. And so I ended up, I better fast forward because I'm going too long with this one, but I ended up winning the qualifying bout in Reno, Nevada. I knocked the gentleman out, Michael Palazzolo. And then I ended up going to the top regions, North, East, West, and South, all that stuff. And I was one of maybe 2 or 3 West Coast qualifiers that actually did it. And first night, I fight a kid from Lock Haven State, and boy, in the first 10 seconds, he stuns me with he's a southpaw. He hits me so hard, my vision goes black.
Okay, so wait a minute. Let's like slow down. I know we're trying to get through this story, but there's lessons in this story. So you get your light, like the lights go out. How do you what goes on internally, this dialogue that allows you to say, I'm coming back versus, okay, thank you, we're good.
See, this is what I love about a good interviewer. You're awesome. This is what was going through my mind. The moment I got hit, I went right into my wrestler mode. My wrestler mode was, if I was close to somebody, I'm going to overhook the arm and underhook, because you do that when you tie up in wrestling. We call it tying up. Overhook over his arm, underneath his other arm, and hold on to him. If you watch boxing to this day, sometimes when they get into a clinch, they hold on. You know why they hold on? Because they're a little bit tired. They don't want to get hit. They want a breather, and they're trying to get their faculties back, get their mind right.
Okay, so holding on is buying time. Holding on is buying time.
Yep, yep, buying time. In many cases, it is. Not all, but in many. So I held on to them, and in my mind, I instantly went into, that's it. I'm going to take them apart. I'm going to take them apart right now, and I'm just going to do it. And I did. I ended up winning a unanimous decision. When I was announced before that fight, and this was even what was more helpful to me, this was actually an inspiring and motivational thing. It gave me a motive beyond what I already had. When they announced my name, they said, Dan Prado from Chico State. We're in Philadelphia area, Westchester State, Pennsylvania. HBO is filming it the next day. Larry Holmes, the heavyweight champion of the world at the time, will be coming in with Larry Merchant, Barry Tompkins, all these sports announcers. So that's a big thing for us back then, because back then there was not a lot of television. It's like, man, you're on TV. You're going to be on TV.
Right. So all of this is building up into the emotion.
Building up. It's building up. So now, right before I did get hit, they announced me, and the crowd, because he's from Pennsylvania, Timmy, and he says, they booed me, boo, boo, boo. And my coach looks over at me and he says, how you feeling? I said, I love this. This is awesome. This is where I want to be. They don't even know who I am.
Underestimate me. Do me a favor and underestimate me, please, because nothing motivates me more than when you underestimate me. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And so you did it. You know what I'm talking about. So at an amazing level. So that's what I did. And I beat him soundly. And then the next night was pretty cool, because I remember going back to the hotel, and I got a good night's sleep. The next day, their interview. Now HBO comes in. Preliminary fights, nah. Now I'm in the championship fight. That was the semifinals. I won it. So I'm in the championship fight. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, who's this guy from Chico State? You know, what's that? You know, where's that place, right? And here they have the lights in the room, and they got all the interview and the microphones, and they're interviewing fighters. And Hollinger Fieldhouse had an upper level indoor track, because in the East Coast, you got to have indoor tracks because of the snow and the weather, right? So sure enough, I'm running around getting warmed up. And this was great for me because my mind was in a good place, right? I felt confident.
Okay, wait. I'm interrupting again. What do you do to get your mind in a good place? Because I think that's important. That's the interesting thing about athletes and sports. Like when I played soccer, we had certain songs that we played every time before we went into the game. And that put us into the mental mindset. Or we had these different tricks that, I mean, I would always tie my left shoe and then my right shoe. And I would always do these little things that put me into the mindset of like game on, game on, game on. So what were you using to put yourself into the right mindset?
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, but the best part that I got into the mind right form was when I was getting my hands taped. So you sit on this chair, you sit back, you turn the chair backwards, you sit on it, you put your hands out, sort of like this. You put them out, right? You get them out in front of you on the chair, and now the rapping, the sound of the rapping, and then they ask you to hit, bam, click. You hear the smacking. Now you're like, I'm in a good place, Danny. You've been a wrestler before. You know what it takes to be a champion. You know what it takes to be a champion. Stay cool, stay calm, stay focused. You're going to be fine.
The mantras. You're using the mantras that we can do anytime, anywhere, in any profession to slow down, reconnect to who we are, and show up and be a champion on the boardroom, on the speaking stage, in the boxing arena.
Yes. Oh, gosh. Well said. Thank you. Thank you. That's good. I love it because that's how I felt. I felt like, okay, you've been here for, don't panic. It's all good. And I didn't have a lot of pressure on me. You got to keep in mind that there were other returning guys in my weight class, and it's my first year there because I was wrestling the other years, right?
Right. So this is our first year in boxing.
And I took to it very, I would say, I'm not going to say easily, but the transition is very similar to wrestling. The body awareness, the mindset, my hand speeds, my hand control, and I always was pretty fast with my hands. And so I ended up running around in that gym, and I saw them, and this is what I said to myself: I love this, and I share this a lot of my talks. I'm running around, I'm looking at them, and I can see them interviewing. And I go, I love this. I love it. I love it. They don't even know who I am. Oh my goodness. No pressure, Danny. Go have fun. Go have fun.
Go have fun. Okay. Listen to this, friends. Fun. If somebody's having fun, that's the last competitor I want to go against because they enjoy the game. They don't care about the outcome. They're not running from failure. They're not running to the victory. They're enjoying the pursuit. And you enjoy the pursuit, you're a whole nother level of competition in whatever you're doing.
That's true. So I kept a calmness about me. Funny you say that because I had the pleasure of doing a tandem talk. I met him at Team Alpha Male, 3-time world champion and 1980 Olympian Lee Kemp. There's a great story there. And Lee Kemp said, always be careful of the quiet, easygoing, and a person that's just relaxed instead of the loud mouth that says, look out for me, I'm going to take you apart. Now, I get it. There's a lot of showboating in that, and it sells tickets and stuff. But Lee's very calm, cool, and collected. Now, I'm a very outgoing, high energy guy. So it took a lot for me just to keep that mindset. You know what I'm talking about that low key, okay, calmness.
You want to preserve the energy. And so it's like it's building up inside of you, even though you look calm as a cucumber on the outside. You're like, oh, if you only knew how much this is just building, because when it's time, I'm gonna go, go, go.
Yes. And I remember 10 seconds, yeah, probably 5-10 seconds before they rang the bell for the championship fight. They announced me. Now the crowd is happy for me. They're actually going, yeah, they're clapping. So I looked over at my coach and I go, get a load of this, And they go, the reason they're clapping is because they want you to beat this guy from Air Force Academy, Bobby Navarro, because they're fighting for the championship, team championship. So now they love you. And I just laughed. And so right before, Barry Tompkins, one of the announcers, looks at me and he says, my daughter went to Chico State. And I got a kick out of that. And my coach goes, are you ready or what? I go, I feel good. Let's do it. Just like the night before, I said, I feel good. Let's do it. And I went out and controlled the whole fight. It felt really good. Gave him a standing 8 count. That means where I'm hitting them and they have to stop it for a second and count to 8 so he can get his bearings back. And I ended up beating Bobby. Bobby was a class act. Afterwards, gave me a big hug. He came over and gave me an Air Force Falcon hat. And I thought that was pretty cool. And next thing you know, your mind is like, whoa, I just won a national title. They're giving me awards. I'm getting a plaque, and they're giving me a certificate, and All-American thing, gold medal, all this stuff. And you start getting hit with all this stuff, and it's happening so fast. It happens fast, but it was one of the most beautiful and amazing feelings of the world. And I went right back into my mind, and I said, "Oh, Rick Payne, you're awesome. How'd you like to be a national champion, Danny Prado?" And I said, when do we start? So you see, it all goes back. Like, I was listening to some of your stuff and I love it. And I was following a little bit some of your journey on your videos too, is that, you can do a lot of these things on your own, but you really need a team to help you. And so for Don Francesconi and Don Cole, if you're listening someday, hopefully they can see this podcast or hear it. And if I see him somewhere in the future, part of you was of that title because you guys, you worked me over. Now you got to remember, this guy was 179 pounds. I had to fight in the ring with him, and I was 119 and down to 112s, and I was fighting Donnie Cole. So I took a lot of pain. And then when I got to a guy my size, I'm like, yeah, this is a lot different. This is awesome.
Well, and that's like the thing, right? And I tell people this all the time. When I would train in harder terrain and harder moves every single time. So when it came to actually climbing the mountain, it was easy. It wasn't anything that was challenging because I was already trained to do harder things. So then when you're in the environment that you're actually trying to excel in, you're like, oh, I can do this because I've already done this harder. And it gives you a level of confidence to show up and be what needs to be done. And I feel like those of us listening, whatever your mountain, your match, or your arena is, doing things harder so the actual thing is easier is going to be so valuable in your pursuits.
Absolutely. So true. Do the hard things, do the things that other people aren't willing to do. And you'll find yourself at a different bracket. I call it a different bracket, percentage bracket, right? So uh, now I want to step back after telling you that amazing story and journey for me there. Uh, I realized that I want to continue coaching and helping. So I continued boxing and I went back into Northern California and I wanted to fight for the Golden Glove Championships. I wanted to fight for stuff that would possibly qualify me for the, Olympic trials or something. So I wanted to get better and I thought I was pretty good, but I got humbled, Jen. I got humbled big time. I came into this club called the Little C Athletic Club, and it was the head boxing coach was a gentleman named Terry Lee. They called him Irish Terry Lee, and he fought professionally, and he was a good coach, very good coach, and he was a very just tell it like it is coach, hard, and I liked that.
There's a respect in that. There's a respect in A is A. It's not an A minus. It's not a B plus. A is A because then you always know where you stand, and that's a foundation to build from.
Oh gosh, what a message that is. That's true. So I came into him and he said, "Hey, I heard you're going to be coming in here to fight for our club." And I said, "Yeah, I wanted to. I've followed you your whole career, and I want to get better." And he said, "So you were a national champion, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Show me your left hook." And I showed it to him. He goes, "Wow, that's horrible." He goes, "That's horrible, Danny." He goes, I can fix it though." And I said, "I'm coachable. I'm malleable. I'll stretch. I'll flex. What do you need me to do?" Right. And I wanted to learn from the best. You know how good this guy was? I'm going to tell you, it's almost embarrassing. So here I'm a national champion, 119 pounds at the time when I got back into the gym. He gets in the gym. He goes, "I'm not going to throw one punch at you. You won't hit me one time." Now I'm in the ring. You're in a ring. And he goes, "Throw as many punches as you want at me, and you won't touch me one time." Well, I did. I grazed him one time. And what he said, he goes, "Danny, I'm 47 years old." He goes, "Just realize how far you need to go." And I said, "Wow." And then he took me and I was a student of his. He taught me how to, to work the ring, uh, all the ring savvy moves that you get to learn as you get better and better. And then a year later, I fought on the Golden Glove and open division. I fought a guy that was announced that he'd be turning professional in a couple of weeks. And I think he did part of that to psych me out. Adam Markalatas from the M&M Boxing Club out of San Francisco. And I ended up beating him that night and winning a unanimous decision. And it was great fighting in front of all my local fans, 4,000 people watching it at a pavilion type of amphitheater setup. Kind of cool. You come through the tunnel, man, there's a great feeling. You come through that tunnel, man, and your buddies are like, "Come on, Danny boy, let's go. You got this, Danny. You got this, Prado. Let's go." And then you're in there and you're going. Now, I don't think I could have gotten better without Terry, but also one other guy. Terry knew a good amateur boxer out of Napa, California. Little blonde hair, blue-eyed guy, looked like a surfer. I've said this before, looks like a surfer, the kindest boy that would knock on your door and go, "Hi, my name's Michael Black. Would you like to buy some tickets to the Scoutorama?" You know, one of those. And sure enough, Michael comes in with, he had 70 amateur fights already. I only had like 12 or 13, right? So he comes in and wow, lit me on fire. When I mean lit me on fire, he showed me that how many punches he could throw in a 5-second span. And as I practice with them more and more, and this is what I think is great when you say do hard things, do hard things, do hard things. I love when you said that, and it resonated with me. Was I wanted to fight the better ones, and he made me better. So as we started fighting more and more, I started closing the gap. I started getting better, starting to get better. Now Mike was a level ahead of me. I ended up winning that night. Michael ended up qualifying for the Olympic trials. I never got that far, but he did. I got to a level that was just below him, right? And I'm not going to make excuses like if I would have started earlier as a kid. I don't do that stuff. Look behind that. That's all behind you.
Well, like, here's the deal. The story's been written, right? And so you can accept the story and be like, here's what it is, or you can like spend the rest of your life trying to explain your story, and then what's the point? But the cool thing about everything we've talked about thus far is I love your personality and the standpoint of I'm going to find the best mentors I can. So again, whatever our arena is, that's something we can all do. And then I'm going to find competition that brings me up to their level. So sometimes people want to be the big honcho in the room. You really benefit when you're the little guy in the room, because then you get brought up by everybody that's around you. And not only, I mean, that's who we hang out with. That's like our 5 closest friends. Are they lifting us up, or are we lifting them up? And are we playing those different roles for different people? Because that's how we become better.
That's true. That's true. Well, I'm glad you interjected there and pointed that out, because that is our role as leaders, as coaches, is to inspire people to accomplish things or see things in themselves that they don't yet see. And when they see it, and more importantly, when they feel it, they'll step out on the limb of fear and doubt and say, guess what? I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to take action, because action usually deflates fear. It suffocates it, which is awesome. So if you fear it, one of my favorite little exercises is I write out the word fear, and it's got 2 columns. So it stands for fear everything and run, or face everything and rise.
Ah, I like that. Yes. Fear everything and run, or face everything and rise. Both are true. And in so much of our life, so many options are true. It's what one do we want to subscribe to for our story? Yes, I love it.
So I was proud to say that I was able to work with and learn a ton from an Olympic quarterfinalist, Michael Black. I've never seen him again, but I want to tell Michael I love him for what he did for me and how he helped me become the person I am today, because he played a role in it. And isn't that the beauty? What a segue into what you, myself, Donnie Bovine, many people that we know in our areas of life that have an opportunity to take people to places they haven't been before, because that's what you find out what you're all about. That's how you find out what you're all about. I'm going to tell you, I was afraid to become a speaker. No doubt about it. I was afraid. Yeah, I was afraid. I was afraid. And I also was afraid of when I got in the business world. I used to get intimidated by the white collar industry that I called in. I'm in the machine tool sales business too. And so I sold high tech ticket metal cutting equipment. And for some reason, I don't know why I was intimidated by that. It was one of those things you put into your own head and you say to yourself, why? You've been successful in other areas, this was good for me to go through in that. And it took me about 7 years to really grasp that confidence level. That's a long time, but to really grasp it and know that what I'm doing, there's a purpose behind it. There's a passion behind it. There's a preparation behind it. There's a persistence behind it. And there's a performance that takes place, right? The 5P plan right there. I call it the Prado 5P plan. I have to throw my name in there. I'm sorry.
I like it. No, I like it. Well, you even hit on it a little bit earlier when you were in a boxing match and like you got hit in the face and you blacked out, and then you jumped into your wrestling avatar, right? And that wrestling avatar allowed you to come back and go and make the thing happen. And so I think a lot of us have these different avatars that we need to borrow traits from or borrow strengths from and take them into other arenas that we're in life, so that we become more well-rounded and succeed in other places.
Oh, great insight. Yes, that's what happened to me. What you just said is I was able to now go back and say, you have a formula. You know what the recipe is. Be like the amazing cook in New York City or San Francisco that says, I got an awesome recipe, but I'm going to add another flavor to it and really blow it up big time, baby. Right? And that's what they do is you never arrive. This is one of the things that I'm really big on is that as you're getting better, Serena Williams, the great tennis player, said, when you realize you're getting better, stop and realize you can get better.
Right, right, right. Well, there's always another mountain. Like the reality is there's always another mountain. And I think that comes to us because the joy is in the journey. The joy is in the pursuit. The joy is in experiencing and becoming and figuring it out. It's not standing on the mountaintop. If it was standing on the mountaintop, we take helicopters and go from one to the next one and take photos and jump in. We love the mountaintops because what it signifies. Like all the times we overcame.
Yes, it's getting the contusions, lacerations, abrasions, you name it, the broken bones, the broken heart, the broken spirit, and but it didn't break.
It didn't, right? We're still here. It didn't quit. You're still going. You're good.
Yeah, look at you when you were ascending the mountain. You were having stomach problems like never before. You were you're you were in a tough spot. And I watch that closely, and I'm very big on the emotions of things. So I caught that in you, and I'm saying, man, internal fortitude. Isn't that what it takes? Okay, you can beat me down. You can try to put me away and squash me, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back. And you can't break my spirit. And it's hard to beat somebody that never quits. It's just hard.
No, and my whole story is like, listen, I thought it was going to look a certain way. I thought it was going to feel a certain way. And I woke up and I'm like, that's not my story this time, but my story is still going to be on top of that mountain. It's just going to look uglier and it's going to feel different than what I expected. That's okay. I'm here for all of it. We're good. Let's go.
And how much stronger are you today from it, right?
Oh, right. 1,000%.
Yeah, like I'm a way different person in many ways. Like I hold closely to those things that matter the most in my life. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm still who I am, but I'm expanding. The more relationships that I develop with amazing people like yourself and Donnie and some of the great, I was on he's a cool dude, Robert Patton, Sheath Men's Global, Robert Patton Global, just a good dude. I love his style. And so I'm meeting some amazing people along the way. I'm doing live events with other business guys and having the time of my life doing it. Uh, I'm doing sales training for companies. I just picked up another client that has seen my growth over the last really 20 years and said, Danny, we need some help. I got 4 people on my team that need some leadership training. Do you do that? I said, I love to help people win. So yes, I do. And that's one of the things, Jenn, that led me into the boxing part is just really a small part of my life, but it was albeit an important one.
Well, and it's a metaphor for everything, especially in sales. Like you want a game, but sales is boxing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same thing. They're going to throw a punch, and you can either whine about that punch and go cry in a corner, or you can be like, "Okay, I'm coming back at you. Watch out."
That's right. You're either relieving pain or gaining pleasure. That's why people buy, for those 2 main reasons. They relieve a pain. You got to take care of an issue that I have, and so I'm very cognizant of the fact that uh, everything that I've learned in athletics has helped me in a lot of different areas. Now, with that said, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm a work in progress. That's the same that you and I have in common, and all the people that are watching or listening will have in common with us. And that is, all of us are a work in progress. Always a work in progress. We can get better. Why not expand? Why not grow? Why not experience? Why not develop? Why not see things that you've never seen before and do things that you've never done before? Now, I always keep, there are a few parameters with that said, but this is where people feel their very best. When they're contributing to something worthy and something wholesome. When they're contributing to something worthy and something wholesome, something that makes you feel alive. Anthony Robbins, I like the way he put it one time. He says, when people feel their best is when they're making progress.
And I'm a sucker for progress. Like I feel like the teeniest, tiniest little thing forward. I'm like, okay, we're good, we're making progress. Like it's so funny how little it has to be for me to be like, all right, team, we got this.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today because I wanted to share that. Interesting, a lot of things going through my mind and excited about being on with you was the part of, you notice when we get that progress part going and then it builds momentum. And when you get momentum, wow, it feels like you can't lose. And even if you did get knocked down, you're like, okay, that was temporary. Boom, I'm back up. I know what it takes to win. I'm on a roll. And I say that in sales to the sales teams that I do training. I go, once you close some business, I call it the opening of a business relationship, but when you close that business, take that good energy, that positive energy and those emotions and take that right over into the next customer.
Right, right. And continue to, especially in sales. Like I know when I was in sales, because I started a business in financial services, and I would like back in the day when they gave you a phone book. I remember going to my job the first day and I'm like, no, 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 I signed up to be a financial advisor. I don't know why you're giving me this phone. And they're like, oh, honey, you called to get your clients. I'm like, what? Like, no one told me this. What are you talking about?
You know, welcome to the world.
Welcome to the world. It was unbelievable. But then the thing is like sometimes we can get lost in our success. And then all of a sudden your success dips and you have these ups and downs because you're not doing the thing that consistently drove the success. And I quickly learned that the best time to phone call, even though I hated every moment of it, was from 5 to 7. So no matter what, I wouldn't book appointments from 5 to 7 because I wouldn't be able to recover those hours of phoning. Right. And so it's like, okay, yeah, 5 to 7 was the gold mine for calling. And if you put an appointment there, you could call from 1 to 5 and you wouldn't have the same success as you would have from 5 to 7. Right. And so, like, when we start getting these successes, we need to keep doing the things that drove the success and protect that piece because that's how it continues.
Yeah, the daily disciplines and creating
Yeah.
the habits, the daily disciplines. You know, the best way I ever heard it put was the beauty about embracing disciplines and habits and rituals is it allows you to perform ordinary things extraordinarily well every single day. And I got that from boxing, repetition, left jab, left jab, left jab. Get so good at it, you could do it in your sleep. Everything that we consciously had to learn, we now subconsciously go about doing it. And it's like riding a bike. You get in there, it's second nature. It's going, right? So when you get into the flow and the tempo and the rhythm, like I'll go to the gym later today. I do this 5 to 6 days a week, same rituals, same plans. And then I expand on it just a little bit more all the time. And that is when I start hitting the speed bag and I
Mm-hmm.
start shadow boxing, I'm
Mm-hmm.
in such a flow state. My mind is so open to growth, learning about business. I'm thinking about maybe, family life or whatever. There's flow and tempo. Hey, we're going to go do something together, or, we got to do this, and how neat it's going to be. Look forward to doing that. And I just stay in this flow mode and I just
Love
can't
it.
be beat. And all of a sudden I just feel $1,000,000. And when you're done with the workout, you come back, you said, I did what I needed to do. Right. Because here's what real success is, in my opinion, doing what you have to do when you have to do it, even if you don't feel like it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so this is the beauty about what you were talking about in sales is, one of my favorite guys that I follow is Jeb Blunt. And he wrote a
Okay.
book called Fanatical Prospecting.
Oh,
And he said, there are 3 things you got to do in sales. 1, you got to prospect. 2, you got to follow up. And most importantly, you got to block out time to do those things. And that's what you did from 5 to
yes.
7, right?
Yes. Right.
Right? You blocked it out and you
I
were
did.
consistent about it and you knew you didn't like doing it, right? Look at, Darren Hardy wrote a book called The Compound Effect. You know what he
Yeah.
said? He goes, this is business. It's arduous, tedious, laborious, and all of the above, but you sure feel darn good when you do it.
Yes. Exactly. 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 I love this. I love all of this. I could talk to you for days and days and days on every subject known to man. I like hope someday we share a stage together and we get to have lunch afterwards or something.
Yeah, I'd love to share a stage with you. You bring a lot of uh, incredible, uh, dynamic personality. You got great stories to share. I mean, wow, do you have a story to share? And I think that's the beauty. I'm always interested in people's stories and finding out. I'm really big into the ones where people just were at the bottom and they got to the top. And when they got to the top, they remembered something. They sent the elevator back down for those who need it. They always said to themselves that the elevator is out of order. The stairs are always open because that's what it takes to be successful. You got to take the stairs, right? Hitting a goal is a great thing, but it's what you had to become in the process of achieving it is where the greatest treasure in the history of mankind will ever lie. Is because you had to become someone you never were before. And that's what you've done. And got to recreate that every day, reinvent ourselves every day. And from that aspect, right? So what's cool about all this, the growth that I've had, even in the last 6 months, has been incredible. And I think more than ever before, and I feel this strongly about this, that it's because of a compound effect of doing these things for years and years and years and years. And now it's blossoming even more so. You can smell the fragrance of the flowers a little bit more closely, and you can see with more clarity. And your conversations with people are ones with purpose and power and energy, and they mean something.
It's turning the success into significance.
Oh boy, that's nice. Yeah, I got to write that down. Yeah, turning into the law of significance. One of my favorite book, The 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork by John Maxwell. And the number one law is the law of significance. And it says, one is too small of a number to achieve greatness.
Love it. Yeah, big teams. Big teams for big mountains. Big teams for big mountains. Okay, so how does everybody find you so that they can hire you as a leadership coach, as a sales coach, and all have you speak, do all these wonderful things that you share with the world?
Thank you very much. So I do have a website. If you go to Dan Prado CEO, you'll see home. And the introduction is done by UFC Hall of Famer Clay Guida, who's an amazing guy, amazing dynamic fighter, and just more amazing energy. Man, talk about, you think I have energy? Man, I'm like junior varsity compared to this guy. He's cool. I think that's why he and I connect, you know. That's why there's good energy here today. I feel it from you. But they can find me there, LinkedIn, also on Instagram, and then I'm also on Facebook. So I'm always dropping some good stuff on there with a little motivational talk or a video, something to lift people and give them hope that, you know what, this can be as amazing life as you want it to be, as long as you know yourself better than anything else. So I say work harder on yourself so that you can be better for everyone and anything else. But be hard on yourself, work on yourself, work hard. Like I like when you said, do hard things. Because when you do hard things,
Right. It's all within reach when you do hard things, my friends. Yes, yes, yes. Dan Prado, amazing interview today. Thank you for all the things you shared with us. We are beyond grateful. Listeners, tune in, hit subscribe so you do not miss episodes like we had today. Thank you. Thank you.
Jen, I got to say one thing.
Yes.
Keep on winning in the game of life. Okay? Thank you.